There is no word in the human language more deceptive than the word free. We are drawn to it like moths to a flame, believing that we have found a loophole in the laws of the universe. We see a hand extended to help us, and we see a service offered without a price tag, and our hearts leap with relief because we think we have saved our resources. We think we have cheated the system. But I am here to tell you that in the economy of human relationships, there is no such thing as zero cost. In fact, the things that have no price tag are often the things that cost us the most. When you pay a stranger with money, the transaction is cold, and it is clean, and most importantly, it is finished. You give the coin and they give the bread, and you walk away as two free individuals with no further obligation to one another. But when you accept the free help of a relative or a friend, you are not engaging in a transaction. You are entering into a bondage. You are signing a contract written in invisible ink where the terms are never defined and the interest rate is infinite. This is the story of the debt that can never be repaid. This is the story of how the favor you accept today becomes the chain you wear tomorrow. Let us imagine a man named Thomas. Thomas was a good man, a hard-working man, but he was struggling. He had bought a house that was falling apart, and the roof was leaking. The water dripped into his living room, staining the ceiling and rotting the wood. Thomas did not have the money to hire a professional roofer. He lay awake at night, listening to the rain, calculating his debts, feeling the walls closing in. And then came the offer. It came from his uncle Elias. Elias was a man of the family, a man who had done well for himself, a man with loud opinions and a strong back. Elias came to the house and looked at the wet floor, and he slapped Thomas on the shoulder. "Put your wallet away, Thomas," he said. "We are family. I will come over this weekend with my tools, and we will fix this roof together. It will not cost you a penny." Thomas felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. He felt like a drowning man who had been thrown a lifeline. He thanked his uncle. He shook his hand. He thought he was the luckiest man in the world. The weekend came and the roof was fixed. Elias worked hard. He hammered and he sweated, and he refused to take any money, even for the materials. Thomas tried to pay him, but Elias waved him off with a look of insulted pride. "Don't insult me," he said. "What kind of family takes money for helping a nephew?" Thomas cooked a big dinner for him. He bought him expensive whiskey. He said thank you 100 times. And on Sunday evening, as Elias drove away, Thomas sat in his dry living room and felt safe. He thought the transaction was over. But he was wrong. The transaction had just begun. The change was subtle at first. It always is. At the next family gathering, Elias made a joke about Thomas's house. It was a loud joke told to the whole room. "I had to save this one from drowning," Elias said, pointing at Thomas. "If I hadn't gone over there, the whole house would have washed away." Everyone laughed. Thomas laughed too, but it was a weak laugh. He felt a small pinch of humiliation. He realized that by accepting the help, he had given Elias the right to tell the story. He had given Elias ownership of the narrative. Thomas was no longer the master of his own home. He was the damsel in distress, and Elias was the hero. Months went by. Thomas was planning a vacation. He had saved a little money and wanted to take his wife to the coast. When Elias heard about it, he did not say have a good time. He frowned. He said must be nice to go on vacation. Some of us are too busy fixing other people's roofs to go to the beach. The comment was sharp. It was a hook. It pulled Thomas back. It reminded him that he was in debt. Thomas felt a surge of guilt. He canceled the expensive hotel and booked a cheaper one. He felt that he did not have the moral right to enjoy luxury while his savior was working. The free help had cost him his freedom to enjoy his own money. Then came the request. It was a year later. Elias called Thomas on a Tuesday morning. He didn't ask if Thomas was busy. He didn't ask if it was a good time. He simply stated his need. "Thomas, I need you to drive my son to the airport. It is a 3-hour drive. I am busy with work. Thomas had a meeting that morning. A critical meeting. He tried to explain. Uncle, I have a presentation. I can't leave work. There was a silence on the phone. A heavy loaded silence. The kind of silence that screams louder than words. Finally, Elias spoke. His voice was low and disappointed. I see. I dropped everything to fix your roof, Thomas. I spent 2 days in the sun for you. And you cannot drive 3 hours for me. That is fine. I understand where I stand. Thomas felt the trap snap shut. He knew that if he said no, he would be the villain. He would be the ungrateful nephew. He would be the man who took and never gave back. The weight of the roof was suddenly on his shoulders, again heavier than the shingles and the wood. It was the weight of obligation. So Thomas canceled his meeting. He risked his job. He drove the 3 hours to the airport. He paid the toll with his time and his stress. And as he drove, he realized the terrible truth. The roof was not free. He was paying for it now. And he would likely be paying for it for the rest of his life. Because there was no invoice. There was no receipt that said paid in full. The debt was emotional, and emotional debts are subject to inflation. We must understand the philosophy of the ledger. In every relationship, there is an invisible book of accounting. When you pay a professional, when you hire a contractor or a mechanic, the ledger is balanced immediately. You give value, they give value, the book is closed. You can criticize their work. You can tell them to leave. You can never speak to them again. You are equals. But when you accept charity from a peer, the ledger stays open. And the person who gave the help holds the pen. They get to decide when you have paid enough. And usually in their mind, you have never paid enough. They own a share of your dignity. Why do we fall for this? Why do we accept the free help? We do it because we are afraid of the coldness of the world. We want to believe in the warmth of the tribe. We want to believe that love transcends commerce. And in a perfect world, it would. If everyone were a saint, help would be given freely, like the sun gives light with no expectation of return. But we are not saints. We are human beings driven by ego and power and insecurity. Many people help you not because they want you to be well, but because they want to feel superior. They want the rush of being the benefactor. They want to look at you and see their own goodness reflected in your gratitude. When you accept their help, you are agreeing to be the mirror for their ego, and the cost is your voice. Have you noticed that it is very hard to disagree with someone who has saved you? If Elias has political views that Thomas finds abhorrent, Thomas stays silent at the dinner table. How can he argue? Elias fixed the roof. If Elias treats his wife badly, Thomas looks away. How can he judge? Elias fixed the roof. The favor becomes a gag in your mouth. You lose the right to speak your truth because you are afraid of appearing ungrateful. You sell your autonomy for a service you could have bought with cash. I want you to consider the freedom of the poor man who owes nothing. He may sleep on a hard mattress. He may eat simple food. But when he walks down the street, he looks every man in the eye. He does not cross the street to avoid a creditor. He does not shrink when his phone rings. He owns his poverty, and therefore he owns his soul. Contrast him with the man who lives in a house built by favors. He has soft carpets and a dry roof, but he walks with a stoop. He is always scanning the room to see if his benefactors are pleased. He is always performing gratitude. He is a slave in a golden cage of obligation. The most expensive currency in the world is not gold, and it is not Bitcoin. The most expensive currency is gratitude, because gratitude is a currency that depreciates for the giver, but appreciates for the receiver. The person who helped you forgets the effort over time, but they never forget the fact that they saved you. And you forget the relief over time, but you never forget the guilt. It is a toxic exchange. So what is the solution? The solution is painful, but it is liberating. You must learn to pay your way, even when it is hard, even when it seems foolish. If you need a roof fixed, hire a roofer. If you need a ride to the airport, take a taxi. If you need money, go to a bank. The bank is honest. The bank tells you exactly what the interest rate is. The bank does not call you on Sunday night to make you feel guilty about your life choices. The bank does not bring up your loan at Thanksgiving dinner. The bank wants your money, not your submission. There is a profound dignity in the commercial transaction. It respects boundaries. It acknowledges that we are separate entities. When you pay, you are saying, I value your labor, and I value my freedom. You are keeping the lines clear. You are preserving the friendship. Because the quickest way to destroy a relationship is to introduce a debt that cannot be quantified. If Thomas had paid Elias even a token amount, if he had insisted on making it a job, the dynamic would have been different. But by accepting it as a gift, he swallowed the hook. I am not saying that you should never accept kindness. There are times in life when we are on our knees and we must take the hand that is offered. But you must be discerning. You must look into the eyes of the giver. Are they giving because they love you? Or are they giving because they want to own you? Does their help come with a contract of silence? If you sense that the help is a tool of control, refuse it. Sleep in the rain if you must. The water will dry, but the stain of servitude lasts forever. And if you are the one giving the help, examine your own heart. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it to be helpful? Or are you doing it to be important? If you help someone, you must do it, and then immediately forget it. You must wipe the ledger clean in your own mind. You must never bring it up. You must never use it as a weapon. If you cannot do that, then do not help. Let them struggle. The struggle will make them strong. Your conditional help will only make them weak. There is a beautiful solitude in self-reliance. It is the solitude of the mountain climber who stands on the peak, knowing that his own legs carried him there. He owes the mountain nothing but respect. He owes the wind nothing but a nod. He can breathe the air deeply because he has not borrowed the breath from another. Do not be afraid of the struggle. Do not be afraid of the price tag. The price tag is the proof of value. When you pay the price, you earn the right to the object. When you get it for free, you are merely the custodian of someone else's generosity. Be the owner of your life. Pay the bill, tip the waiter, and walk out into the night with your head held high. The next time a relative offers to save you with a free favor, pause. Listen to the silence behind the offer. Ask yourself, what is the hidden cost? And remember that the most comfortable chains are the ones we put on willingly because we thought they were jewelry. Do not trade your sovereignty for a moment of ease. The ease passes. The sovereignty is your birthright. Do not sell it for a roof. Do not sell it for a ride. Do not sell it for anything. Keep your ledger clean. Keep your heart free. And let your gratitude be a gift you give freely, not a tax you are forced to pay. This is the only way to sit at the family table as a man and not as a servant.